again, we see this idea of that the ahankar, the sense of me feeling who I am, is kriti, the sense of kartritva. We've spoken about this, right? The sense of doership, the sense of I have done. Mati munjate sahasa is so strong within us that the feeling of I have accomplished, or, and you know, it's we don't even have to have accomplished much for us to feel I have accomplished. Sometimes we just do something like sneeze and we feel I sneezed, and consequences of it, vikara. So it causes all these thoughts. The feeling of I have done causes so many thoughts. Vikara is also here translated as modifications. Modifications in our mind. Vikara, thoughts. Vikara can get translated as thoughts, or modifications of the mind is an interesting way of defining thoughts. Yeah, sometimes we see on now, because of Instagram and social media and us being on our gadgets so often, when you look at a sound file, it keeps going up and in. Have you all seen this? And it's like sometimes it's a blob and it just keeps moving. Have you all seen this on a screen? No? Most of y'all have seen it? Most of you kind of know what I'm talking about? It comes in, it goes out, it gets this, it's not round, it's like a moving blob, splat. That's a nice depiction of our mind. We tend to think of our mind as a solid shape, but actually it's not. The word vikara means this constant moving. It's constantly changing shape. Yeah. So there is an entity, like if you see these screens, it's usually like a bubble or something, and then it keeps moving in different ways, right? So there is a sense of an entity, but it doesn't have a fixed shape. It's actually constantly moving. Who's this? My mind. So every thought is a movement. And every thought is different. Well, not necessarily. I can think the same thing again, but chances are it's different. So we'll think something, we'll think something else, then we might come back to our original thought, right? Or we slightly change the original thought. So even if I'm thinking how much I love you, I think, oh, you're so sweet. You're so amazing. You're so kind. So it's slightly different. Even though it's all the mood of love, there's still change. I won't think you kind, you kind, you kind, you kind. I could, but unlikely. So every thought is a movement, and it's a movement in a slightly different way based on the content of the thought. Okay. So this mind, vikara means constant modification. Mind is constantly modifying. Yet the entity of mind we seem to feel is constant and fixed, but there's just nothing fixed about it. So even this feeling of it's me and this is me is ahankara. And to understand that it's moving helps me to see how it's not me. Even though the outline is there to create that sense of entity, the sense of entity is not solid, concrete, reliable, or predictable. It's that sense of constant changing. So who am I? We feel I am this, but this is constantly changing. So what am I? Or who am I? And when we come to, the more we come to see the ego as constantly changing, the less we will feel we are the ego because it's constantly changing. Because intrinsically, we are eternal and changeless. And so we will look for changeless. This is even in our lives. We look for reliability. We look for stability. Why in our lives do we look for it? Because intrinsically, we are changeless. We are stable. We enjoy seeing change, but we are not changing. Yeah. And so the more we see ego as changing, the less we will identify with it as me, because we will look for changeless. So this changing, and in 305, it's the changing, equals suffering. And in 306, it's the same thing, but it's saying false identification equals suffering, attachment equals suffering. I guess more false identification equals suffering. So what causes my suffering? The fact that I'm constantly looking for changeless, and that I am in the world of constant change. I'm looking for stable when I'm identified with constant change. So please note, it's not that the world is constantly changing and that's causing me misery. What's causing me misery? I want stability. I want infinity. I want permanent. But I think myself to be my mind, and my mind is constantly changing. So I want changeless, and I think I am changing. Boy, a lot of stress. If the world is constantly changing, I can sit quietly in my own room, not deal with changing world, right? I can't, but theoretically, I can pretend. Run away from the world, sit quietly in my room, and be changeless. I sit quietly in my room, and I'm still experiencing changing. Why? Because I've identified with my mind and then my body, and body though is very changing. Right? One day it's good, one day it's not good. Well, the older you get, you notice it. Younger days, it's quite reliably good more often than not. But energy levels, hunger levels keep changing. But more than body, my own mind. Like I can be so happy, so positive one moment. And then some doubt creeps in. Like let's say I'm very positive, right? What can happen? God is infinite. I have his grace. I have faith. All will be well. In the sense that not outcomes will be what I want it to be, but I will be able to accept and handle whatever comes my way. I can be in this complete frame of mind and then suddenly some doubt. Really? Will I be okay? Can I do it? Or doubt in the very content of what the scriptures are saying. Doubt in God. I think he loves everyone, but not me. He's looking after everyone else. He's a bit too busy. He didn't notice my suffering. Yeah, actually, that's colossally arrogant, but so many of us think it. Because we so desperately want to be special. Even if it's my misery is more important than yours. That way I can be more special than you. I'm less loved than you. That way I can be more special than you. We do weird things. Where? In our own thinking. So what are these two verses basically trying to tell us? I am the mastermind behind my suffering. This is why people don't like Vedanta. This is why people like Bhakti yoga. And Ashtanga yoga is also very nice. Do some pranayamas, do some asanas. Don't tell me I created my suffering. Bhakti yoga is very nice. Go and sit at the Lord's feet. He'll solve all your problems. Very nice. So nice Bhakti yoga is. Only this Vedanta keeps telling me I'm the cause of my suffering. I created all my suffering. So annoying. Why do I have to take responsibility for my suffering? I promise you it's everyone else's fault. I haven't done this in a while, but I've definitely told y'all before. Anything that happens in our life, there are 4 possible reactions that we can have. First one is blame. So I got sick. Whose fault is it? The supermarket's fault, the farmer's fault, all these companies' faults. They put so much pesticides in our food, so much chemicals in our food. They keep it in cold storage. Our food doesn't have nutrients. This whole global warming. So the whole world's at fault. Or I have lower self-esteem. I see this so often, huh? And there's really no age limit on this. I see it with the kids, I see it with the adults. I have low self-esteem. Whose fault is it? The world's fault. Instagram shows us thin, skinny people that look like Barbie dolls. And then I feel I am not good enough. Parents told me something, teachers told me something, friends told me something. The world made me feel I am not good enough. You know, there's this growing trend to make people see that it's just ridiculous how we fall into this low self-esteem. So somebody is very tall. They have low self-esteem because they feel they're not normal and they don't fit in because everyone else is shorter than them and look at them as different. Somebody is very short. They have low self-esteem because they feel they're not normal and they don't fit in because everyone else is of a regular height and they are shorter than the regular height person. The regular height person has low self-esteem because they are slightly plumper than the rest of the generation and people call them chubs and call them, you need to go on diet and why are you eating donut? And so they feel they don't fit in. Someone's very skinny. They don't fit in. Why? Because their nose is too long. Aisha. Nobody feels normal. I really want to know who normal people are. I'm yet to meet one. Everyone thinks I'm not normal. Everyone else is normal. Whose fault is it I have low self-esteem? All these normal people who are making me feel not normal. But these normal people don't exist because they also not feeling normal and they also feel that they don't fit in. But it's the world's fault that I have low self-esteem because of media and marketing and fashion and makeup and you know, people giving so much importance to the color of our skin and people giving importance to our academics records. And so I feel I have low self-esteem. So first thing we do is blame. I have this problem and I blame. Second is deny. I don't have problem. What problem? No, I'm fine. Third is we make 300 excuses. I have low self-esteem, but you have to understand, I had a very difficult childhood. I'm the middle child. The older ones always get the more attention. The younger ones cute and got all the attention. Middle child never gets any attention. So excuse. Older child gets too much attention, they develop a complex. Younger child gets babied, they develop a complex. Doesn't matter which position you're born in, huh? You end up with some complex or the other. Excuse for we are this way. Excuse because conditionings, climatic situations, political situations, now recently in the last 3 years with COVID, excuse. Kids don't know how to socialize because they've been home on their gadgets. Kids are no longer as responsible because they've been home on their gadgets. Even though it's true, huh? Kids being home on their gadgets have definitely changed them. It's only been 2 years and you can see such a shift in their psyche. And then we've also been home on our gadgets. We've also had a shift in psyche. People are scared to socialize, don't want to socialize, become more reclusive. Why? Well, it was COVID's fault. The whole world changed, right? It's not my fault. So blame. What's the difference between blame and excuse? Not much difference. In excuse, we're only pretending to say, yeah, I know I'm like this. We're pretending to take responsibility. Then we immediately deflect it with the excuse. I know I have low self-esteem. I know I need to work on it, but blame is outright. It's not my fault. Excuse is I pretend to take responsibility. The fourth one is full responsibility. Why am I like this? It's my doing. It's my choice. When I blame others, I cannot change. When I make excuses, I cannot change. When I'm in denial, of course, I cannot change. The only time I can change is when I take full responsibility. This is what we don't like to do. Don't make me take full responsibility for my misery. Surely you are contributing to it. Doesn't it take 2 hands to clap? You are contributing to my misery. Will not help me change. I have to take full, complete responsibility for my misery. Only then can I change. Only then can I pick up my misery like garbage and throw it out. If I am not creating my misery, I cannot throw it out. I live in the world. But remember that mind, which is constantly changing, vikara, modifications of the mind. Right now, the mind is in the shape of, I am miserable. I am scared. I am angry. I am jealous. I am guilty. I am impatient. I am. It's constantly changing. So either the next thought I think is the same thought as before, or something completely different. Anyways, it's going to change. But I have a choice in which way it changes. To be more of the same, or to be completely different. Interesting also, we do this with food we eat. We tend to eat the same things. So someone like me who loves cheese, pizza, cheese, Mexican cheese, toast with cheese, Am I eating different things? No. Appears to be different, but I'm eating same thing. In Asia, rice. So fried rice, it's still rice. Chon fan, it's still rice. And then those thin white noodles, it's still nice. No, it's different. Noodles is different from chon fan. Chon fan is different from fried rice. Nutritionally, it's the same thing. Fundamentally, it's the same thing. So me too. I think so many different thoughts. Really. Fundamentally, it's fear. Fear taking slightly different shapes. Why will it take different shapes? Because that's what the mind does. It changes. But it's not really changing. It's the same thing. Like rice noodles and rice. Not really changing. They're different, yeah, but not really. So my choice. Next thought, I think. Fear in another shape? Go for it. Your choice. Or courage, patience, faith. That's choosing actual change. So I'm going to repeat this. Anyways, mind is going to change. Nature of the mind is constant change. So if I want it to change in a particular way, I have to make a conscious choice. I will only make that conscious choice when I take full responsibility for whatever it is I am thinking and feeling. If it's your fault that I am scared, if it's your fault that I'm in pain, I won't make conscious choice to change. I'll try and change you because it's your fault I'm in pain. So what do I have to do? Change you. If it's my fault I'm in pain, then I have to change me. So whether it's your fault or not, choose for it to be your fault. Only then can we change. This has to be a very conscious change in our thinking. Every single time I get upset with the other person or the situation, I have to remind myself, take full and complete responsibility for my emotion. I get angry with you for being late. Take full and complete responsibility for me being angry. It's got nothing to do with you being late. But you were late. Be that as it may. I am completely responsible for my anger. You lied to me. Be that as it may. I am completely responsible for my anger or my hurt or my disappointment. This has to be a conscious, deliberate understanding that I proactively choose. I feel the emotion and then I have to choose to take complete responsibility for it. I think the thought and then I have to choose to take full and complete responsibility for that thought. Everybody is gossiping about, oh, I don't know, current gossip. I also start gossiping about whatever current gossip is. Take full and complete responsibility for it. No, I only said it because everyone else has also been saying it and it came in my feed so many times today. At least 13 people sent me that forward. Whatever forward, right? Some gossipy forward will keep coming. Then I also forward it to somebody else. No, I take complete and full responsibility for that thought. What thought? Gossipy thought, proud thought, angry thought, jealous thought, vengeful thought, kind thought, whatever thought it is. We need incredible alertness to be able to do this. Because otherwise we think a thought, we don't even know we thought the thought. How to take responsibility for the thought? It came and it went. We feel the emotion, we'll feel it. But we don't necessarily take responsibility for it. Sometimes we don't even completely recognize it, what it is or why it's there. So alertness of mind to be completely in tune with, I'm feeling this. Then alertness of mind, I'm responsible for feeling it. Then even more alertness of mind, I choose either to substitute it, let it go, surrender it. 3 steps all need incredible alertness. What were the 3? Recognize it, own it, and then consciously change it. What? Every thought. So much work, man. I'm telling you, bhakti is easier. It's not, huh? Bhakti is not easier. Even in bhakti, you have to choose to think of the Lord every single moment. You have to have that alertness of mind. And then different temperaments, different things will work with different people. But that awareness of which thought I'm thinking and then surrender it to the Lord is there in everything. Whether it's bhakti or it's jnana. The sweetness of bhakti is I just love him so much that I'll do it. In Vedanta, who should I love? Who's going to inspire me to be so alert to think of every thought and recognize it, own it, and then substitute it? Where's my inspiration coming from? In Vedanta, it's Guru. And that incredible gratitude to have this knowledge. I was walking around like a colossal idiot, not knowing that my thoughts are causing me so much pain. This amazingly divine being told me through the scriptures what I need to do. And so since the Lord sent this message to me, I must follow. I didn't know before, but now I know. And they've shown me the way. It's ungrateful not to walk that path. And so there's immense gratitude on the path of Vedanta. It's like, you know, when we study in Bhakti, then like Bharat, when he was walking with Ramchandraji's padukas, he held it on his head and walked. Why? Because it's the Lord's padukas. Even when they do processions and they take the murtis, like in Jagannath Puri or in Balaji, they'll take the murtis out and they're like sightseeing for the murti. Then it's carried in a palanquin, they carry it on their shoulder or they carry it on their head. It never touches the ground. There's a beautiful umbrella. It's treated with so much respect. Even when we do Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam, it's held on the head. Because we've made books so common now, we have lost that sense of it's sacred. Like it shouldn't touch the floor. We shouldn't touch it with dirty hands. We don't even breathe on it. They would they would wear that. We wear masks now to save ourselves. They would wear it to not pollute the idol. There's this, one of my most favorite murtis of Hanumanji is, it's really, 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 really old. And his features actually don't look so nice because the artistry is worn off and it's a little bit, but Hanumanji is standing like this. Yeah. So his palm is in front of his hand and his head is bowed down. He's standing in front of Ram. So we used to sing Hanumanji stand on his knees, bowing down, right? That's the usual picture that we see of Hanuman. In fact, I haven't seen this picture of Hanuman or anyone else standing like this. So he's standing, Ramchandraji is in front of him, he's bowed, and his hand is in front of his mouth. And we see it more as a Islamic greeting now, right? That kind of a gesture, but it's not up. The palm is not facing up. The palm is literally covering the mouth, but at a distance. Hand being the mask. And so, because I hadn't seen this pose of Hanumanji before, I was very curious about it. And the person was explaining that when servants spoke to kings, when we speak, and today we know it so well with COVID, spit will come out. Bacteria comes out. The smell of our breath comes out. I mean, this is all very normal, everyday things which we don't really pay attention to. But when someone is so revered and respected, we don't want them to be polluted by the spit or the bacteria or the smell of our breath. And so when talking to kings, servants would put their hand at a slight distance in front of their mouths. That complete sense of it's so sacred that not even in the slightest way do I want to pollute it. In Vedanta, what do we hold so sacred is not the murti, it's this knowledge. And so if this knowledge is so sacred, it can't be taken for granted. Right? So if I have so many ornaments in the house, decorative pieces, sometimes I don't dust it, sometimes I don't clean it, sometimes I might even bump into it, sometimes I might not notice it. But when it's a murti, it's kept specially. It's revered always. It's not taken for granted. It's not ignored. This knowledge is sacred. Cannot be taken for granted, cannot be ignored. That's the bhakti of Vedanta. This knowledge has been given to me. It has to be held as sacred. And how do I hold it as sacred? I implement. Once it's shown to me, I have to follow. That's my gratitude. That's my worship. That's my reverence. Sure, I make mistakes. Should I be scared of failing? Nah. Forgetting? No. That knowledge tells me that also. I'll fall plenty times, no problem. But hold it sacred so that the moment I remember, I adhere to it again. Who is the cause of my suffering? Me. This sentence is sacred. Because it is the most empowering thing we can understand. It basically is telling me I have choice. How much do I have choice? Of every thought That's how much choice I have. When I have choice of every thought, I become so incredibly powerful. When I don't have choice of my thoughts, I'm a victim to the world, to circumstances, to you, to the weather, to politics, to advertising, to social media. I'm a victim to everything. If I have no choice, I'm just a victim to anything and everything. I'm like a leaf being blown by the wind, not knowing where I'll end up, having no control of where I go. That's why this is so sacred. I have complete choice because I am responsible for every thought. Makes me so incredibly powerful. I am the cause of my happiness. I am the cause of my suffering. Makes me an incredibly powerful being. That's what we want, right? We want to be powerful. We want to be able to create our happiness. So, we shall pause here for today. Any questions?
Earlier at the beginning, we said that we cannot measure.
We cannot measure what? What did I say we cannot measure? Progress. Yes, yes, yes. I was talking about that.
Should we not measure?
Should we measure? How you'll measure?
Like when you said, okay, what if I within myself feel that I'm
What if I myself feel I am progressing? It could be delusion. It really could be delusion. It could be inspiring me to continue, which in which case, go right ahead if it's inspiring you to continue. It could be attachment to progress and structure, in which case, no need. Recognize that it's attachment. Essentially, on the spiritual journey, what's most important is how much I love the divine, how much I'm willing for him to have his way. Which includes my weaknesses and shortfalls and all the rest of it. So all of us are at different stages. Sometimes we feel incredible need to measure. Okay, measure. You'll outgrow wanting to measure. It's not actually function. It's like how exactly what I said earlier. What are you measuring? How much of the snake is rope? That's what we're measuring, right? My spiritual progress is how much snake I see and how much rope I see. Can that really be measured? And even if I decide it can be measured and I am halfway there, who can verify that? Because who else can see the snake you see except you? So if you tell me, I'll have to believe you. Yeah, you're right. You're halfway there. But if you're seeing only half rope, then array, it's a little bit, although I get it, people really do want to feel they're progressing. I totally get that. Of course, I've been there. will also be there again, possibly, because the mind goes through different moods, right? So sometimes we all chilled and bindas, and then sometimes we all like, when am I getting moksha? So and just notice it, just I guess that understanding of constant change. The mind is constant change. So
So we have to relearn, right? Because
we have to
our whole
relearn.
life we've been conditioned
Yeah.
towards measuring progress and success. And
Yeah.
there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
We do have to
Failure
relearn.
was such a big deal in school.
Yeah.
If you got an F,
Although
it was the end
today's
of the world.
world, school really does make it a point to try and teach children that failing is not a bad thing. Mistakes is not a bad thing. But yes, when we grew up, it was a little bit more.
But now they're going to the sort of other extreme that
Yeah.
I've seen in the American system where my son's student. It's almost like what's called snowflakes, that the kids are told everything.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
okay.
Every generation has their
Yeah,
challenge,
they
and
have
we
their
get conditioned.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we have to understand, that we didn't have it harder or easier than anyone else, because absolutely every generation got conditioned in one way or the other. Every parents have conditioned their kids in one way or the other. But now we are adults. And now we have this most incredibly sacred knowledge. So now no more excuses. So we have to even recognize it as excuse.
So it's okay to have, no, it's not okay even to have a goal. Right?
No, it is
There's
okay
nowhere
to have a goal, and it is
there's
okay
nowhere
to work.
go. You just
No,
have
no,
to
it
be
is
there.
okay to have a goal, and it is okay to work towards the goal, because like I said, we all on different stages of the journey,
So that's okay to have it.
not to get fixated on it.
But it helps most people.
A
right,
goal
to-
definitely helps
to-
most
to
people.
Grow.
I am impatient, I am practicing patience. How to measure patience, I may not know. When will I consider myself patient? When I can wait half an hour, when I can wait 1 hour, when I can wait 2 hours? How will I measure that? And I don't know how to measure it, but I am practicing patience. Right now, I can wait 1 hour, working on the next hour. Just keep going.
It's hard to think
So
of
there
it.
is a goal, and we are working towards the goal. What I'm trying to say is it's hard to measure where we are on the path. So having a goal is definitely a beautiful thing. Please keep. Moksha is our goal. Or forgiveness is our goal. Patience is our goal. Courage is our goal. Detachment is our goal. These are all goals. Devotion is our goal. Being able to sit through a whole class without the mind drifting is a goal.
Thank God you can't check us.
I can
Your
check.
mind don't need to-
This is why most of them don't switch on their cameras, because I can check.
You should make it mandatory, camera on.
No, I won't make it mandatory, because you are in charge of your suffering.
Not just.
You are in charge, not me. I'm in charge of my ability to talk to walls. Anyone online have any questions?
What if we recognize that we have jealousy, we have anger, then what do? We think it is in the mind or it is really there? What shall we do?
Yeah, I take responsibility for it. I have chosen to have jealousy. I have chosen to have anger. Why did I make such a foolish choice? Whatever my intelligence or mood was at that moment. I chose it. But now I can choose something else. take responsibility for what it is I'm feeling. Okay.
Not any particular method to get rid of it. It's just that we can choose our way to get rid of it.
Depending on what it is, there'll be a particular method. So jealousy can be changed into admiration. Fear can be changed into courage or faith. Anger can be changed into compassion or patience. So depending on what it is, there'll be a method of how to be able to deal with it. Hmm. Okay. Sarve bhavantu sakinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit kapag bhave, asato ma satkamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.